Hey, what's going on everybody? Helmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today's topic is going to be covering the utility AD carry meta that's kind of cropped up over the last couple of weeks of the LCS and talking about its implications on regular play and also why it exists in the way it does. Now, currently pros have been favoring one of three AD carries in their games, which have basically been Ashe, Jhin, and Varus in pretty much every single professional game that's been played. And there are a few reasons for this, but primarily it's because the pros feel as though these champions have much better early games than other AD carries. And in the current meta, they feel as though these champions don't have an opportunity to actually scale up and be relevant until later, by which point the game might already be decided. So instead, utility carries are favored in that they are relevant even if they're behind. Champions like Ashe is actually really strong because she has the ability to constantly slow enemies, she has hard initiation with Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and she has unkillable scouting thanks to Hawkshot, which means that she's really good even if she's behind. She can't deal damage, but she's still able to contribute other things to her team. And that's kind of the thought behind the other two champions as well. Jhin obviously having a lot of really good crowd control with Curtain Call and Deadly Flourish, having the traps, and doing a reasonable amount of damage himself, even if he falls behind. And Varus is actually interesting in that he is kind of a utility champion with on-demand Grievous Wounds and a fairly good team fight ultimate. However, he also has the advantage of being able to do damage to squishies without having to chew through the tank line. Piercing Arrow does have damage fall off, but it doesn't fall off that hard, especially when he's built lethality. So Varus can kind of shoot piercing arrows through the tank line, hit the squishies, and still do a sizable amount of damage without having to actually commit to fights. And that's kind of why these three champions have risen to the top as the best utility carries and why so many pros are favoring them. In that it's a very jungle-centric meta at the moment. Lee Sin, Rengar, Rek'Sai, they're all really strong champions, and that's preventing AD carries or making it more difficult for AD carries to scale late. And so it makes more sense to play utility carry where you'll know your guaranteed value as opposed to playing champions that may or may not actually have an impact. Ezreal, if he falls behind, for example, will do nothing because he only does damage, and if he can't do damage, he's not worth anything on the team. However, these AD carries are oftentimes being countered by these big hyperscaling tanks like Maokai and Nautilus, and this is a problem because Ashe has a hell of a time trying to chew through these tanks, especially with a lot of the builds that pros are going for, which completely lack armor penetration at all in favor of more raw AD. The idea being, we don't need to kill the tanks, we just need to kill the carries, and once they're dead, the tanks will die eventually as well. I do think this is a bit of a misstep for most pro teams in that being able to kill a tank is a huge advantage because it reduces the enemy team's ability to make plays. If you don't have your Nautilus, who's able to throw out a dredge line, throw out depth charge, make a play happen, then you can't really start anything on your own terms. The enemy team would have to engage on you and then mess up somehow. And so this is kind of the disadvantage I feel that pros are currently at. And sure, they do have a point in that if all the squishies are dead, you can kill the tanks regardless, but especially if you look at the numbers, whenever a damage AD carry has gotten through, damage-focused AD carry has gotten through, like Caitlyn or Twitch, they've won the game. Because they can actually do damage to tanks and kill them before the tanks can really be relevant or really last as long as they should. So, and this is kind of interesting in that how pros have kind of focused on this. The other thing is that the early game of utility carries is better, yes, but especially most of these pro games have been going 30 minutes to 40 minutes, by which point even a damage-focused AD carry that fell behind will still be able to scale late and be really strong. I mean, that is effectively the late game, and that's why Twitch and Caitlyn have been winning games. So it's a bit of an interesting mix-up here, and I would say that utility carries are very effective when picked on their own, but at the same time, don't discount damaged champions just because all they do is damage. Caitlyn is still really good because games will go late, and she will still have the high damage from the headshots and Piltover Peacemakers to really make a difference in team fights. So don't count out damaged champions. Don't feel like you have to start playing Jhin and Varus and the like of that just because it's currently meta. I would say that in this situation, there are definitely other champions that can be played even when your opponent have heavy divers. In fact, I would not be surprised at all to start seeing mobility carries like Ezreal, Corki, and Lucian to start showing up back in the bottom lane again just because they're able to more easily deal with divers than other champions. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the whole utility carry meta. I'd be very interested to know if you've been playing these champions or if you've been having success on other more untraditional AD carries like Lucian or not Varus, Corki in the bottom lane. Go ahead and let me know in the comments. Go ahead and hit that like button as well if you really enjoyed this video, and consider subscribing. It does help me in what I do. I upload a video every Monday and Friday. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later.